Recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga by the Pool. And it is a gorgeous day. I have three ladies with me today. I have Chris and Fern and Joanne, and just enjoying a little space in the shade. And I love having them here live. It's wonderful. And all of you online with me today, too. So what I am focusing on is some hip openers. So we're going to take some time to stretch through the inner thigh groin area so that when we do our standing poses like our Warrior 2 that involve an open hip, we'll have a little bit more flexibility and be able to come into alignment a little bit better with those poses. So you'll probably need your yoga strap, maybe a block, and you can modify the strap with a hand towel or a scarf, something like that to use. So let's start down actually on our backs today. And we're just going to come to a reclined position and then draw the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to open out into Supta Barakonasana. And just notice first thing this morning where your hips are in this space and how closely your knees might be coming to the floor. And just begin to relax through those muscles where you're feeling that gentle stretch. Allow your legs to feel heavy and relaxed through the hips and through the thighs. And you can even take your hands and put a little bit of a gentle pressure there to add some resistance and to sink those muscles open further. And we'll focus on our breath this morning. Drawing the breath down deep into the belly, let it float up and rise. And exhale, the belly flattens and draws towards the earth. 2 more breaths, inhale. And exhale completely. And 1 more breath. And we'll keep our eyes closed here as we just focus on the right hip. So we can take the left leg and extend it completely out to straight, and that gives us a reclining tree pose. And just let that right knee fall open. Keep the hips even, and the arms can maybe come into T shape or goalpost arms to open up the heart a bit. And we'll take a few breaths here, just allowing that right knee to sink closer towards the floor. We'll be focusing on this pose also standing. So in your mind's eye, you can visualize yourself standing up on that left foot, maybe even flexing and activating the thigh, standing really tall. Good posture, holding perfect balance here in our tree pose. And take 1 more breath in through the nose. Exhaling nose or mouth. And then we'll bring that right knee up to the center and place your right hand right on top of that knee and start to draw a circle out and around. So we're going through an active range of motion, circling the hip. And also notice that your core has to stabilize here so you don't rock over onto one hip as that leg is opening out to the side. And then reverse direction of the circle. And notice where you might feel a little tight. And just release that tension. And then we'll bring that knee back to center. And if you have your yoga strap, go ahead and place it under the bottom of your right foot. Extend that leg up until you can straighten it. And then open it out to the side and hold. And just relax that inner thigh. A gentle hip opener. And maybe also feeling our hamstrings stretching as well, and all the way down the adductor muscle, the inner thighs. We'll have the opportunity also to do this pose standing and balancing. So maybe activate your bottom foot, flexing it as if you're standing nice and proud with perfect balance on that left leg. And we'll hold one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Bring that leg back to the midline. And let's counter this stretch for the IT band. So switch your left hand to the strap and bring that leg across just a little bit without twisting the spine until you feel that stretch along the outside of the thigh into the medial glute. And one more breath here, just a brief stretch in the IT band area. And exhale, come back to center. Release the strap. And then again, bring the soles of both feet together, open the knees out into Barakonasana, and notice if you feel any difference now between the right and left sides through the hips. Maybe that right side feels a little bit more free, the tension released. Then focusing on our left hip now, we can leave that left side where it is, straighten out the right leg all the way down. So when we're our reclining tree pose here, maybe choosing a different position for your arms this time. You can reach them way above the head, get a nice stretch, but be mindful of your shoulders. Make sure these positions feel okay for you. And begin to deepen the breath as we relax that hip and allow the knee to open. We can visualize a strong standing tree pose by flexing that right foot, drawing the toes up towards you, activating the thighs. And 2 more breaths here. And then close that left knee in, bring it up towards you and place your left hand right on top of that knee and start to draw a circle around. It doesn't matter which direction you start with. Just go slow and focus on stabilizing your spine with strong abdominals. Your ankle can be in a flex position or you can point your foot. And then pause and reverse direction of the circle. So this is circumduction of our hip joint. It's a nice movement to release tension in that joint and also to get some synovial fluid moving into the joint capsule, into the socket, a little cushioning for the joint. And then bring that knee to center. Take hold of your yoga strap. If you're using that, place it under the bottom of your left foot. Elongate the leg until it's straight, and then open the leg out to the side slowly and hold. Oftentimes in this pose, I like to get my elbow down to the floor with the yoga strap, and then I can use my bicep to tighten that strap and just let my leg relax. So it's not really hanging in space, it's being supported. Maybe this side's a little tighter than the right. So just coming to your comfortable range of motion, your comfortable edge. Then perhaps visualize standing on that right foot, flex and strengthen through the muscles in the leg. Nice, good posture. Shoulders are pressed back into the mat. And we'll take one more breath. Exhale completely as you bring that leg back through the midline. Swap hands, and briefly we'll take a counter stretch for the IT band and outer thigh. Ooh, I'm feeling this one this morning, definitely. Just relax and breathe. Soften through those muscles. Try not to tense and fight the stretch. Just surrender. And one more breath. Inhale. Exhale that leg back to the midline. Release the strap and transition to seated. You can either roll to your side, press yourself up, or hold behind the legs and rock yourself up to seated. And we'll come right into Barakonasana. Now to compare the knees, let your hips open. So for me, I'm pretty tight in Barakonasana. Many people can get their legs all the way down to the floor. I'm pretty tight here. So just relax those muscles and fold forward any amount until you feel a little stretch in your lower back. And come into that slow, relaxing breath. We can choose an equal ratio breath where we match the duration of the inhalation and the exhalation. Or we can use a sinking breath, which is an exhalation that's twice as long as the in-breath. It's a very relaxing, soothing breath pattern. We'll take one more breath here. And then rising up, we'll focus just on the right leg. So take your left leg and extend it straight out. Let your right leg just elongate or press down into the mat. And we'll use our right hand to give a little pressure and twist your body away from that leg. So you're looking over the left shoulder. A nice gentle hip opener. Really long spine as you twist. And then we'll come back to the midline and switch legs here, extending the right leg forward. Bring the sole of the left foot in towards the inner thigh. Gently pressing that knee open, reach behind you, lengthen the spine, and twist. See how far you can look behind you with your eye gaze. And one more breath. Inhale. Exhale back to the midline. Both legs extend out straight. We'll inhale into Paschimottanasana. Exhale and fold forward. We'll be here for a few breaths. If you'd like to use your yoga strap, again, a great tool to help pull yourself down. And breathe into the backside body. For more intensity, really flex your ankles, pulling your toes toward you. 2 more breaths. And then releasing that strap. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale down. Let's transition to hands and knees to prepare for a downward facing dog. So open up the hands nice and wide. Nice Hasta Bandha. Tuck the toes underneath and lift the hips. Begin to just pedal out the feet. Working on some mobility of the ankles and Achilles tendons. Feet are parallel and about hips distance apart. And going at whatever pace suits you, maybe holding that stretch a little longer or dynamically moving from one to the other. And notice a little stretch in the first joint of your toes as well. On the knee that's bending, give yourself a little stretch there. Now press both heels nice and evenly down into the floor. 2 more breaths, nice steady downward facing dog, lengthening through the backs of the legs. And then take a few steps to bring your feet up toward your hands, coming into forward bend. We can place the hands on opposite elbows for a ragdoll pose. Or we can reach behind the thighs and pull ourselves down towards the legs. You can also use your hands at your shins for a half lift if those hamstrings are pretty tight this morning. So wherever you are here, 3 more breaths. Slow exhalations. And then release the arms. We'll dynamically move through our forward bend. Circle sweeping the arms out and up. Inhale, reach, maybe a little baby back bend. Exhale and dive back down to your forward bend. And just follow the pace of your own breath. So a very slow inhale to bring yourself all the way up. A complete exhalation to come down. And notice your hip joints. As you're flexing forward, we feel the stretch down the backs of the legs. And as we rise up and extend through the fingertips, gently squeeze your glutes and open up the front of your hips. One more time. And then inhale all the way up to finish. Take hold of your right wrist with your left hand and take a side bend over. And slightly roll your right shoulder back. Take your gaze up. Stabilize through your feet and through a strong core. Inhale back up. Switch to grab the left wrist and side bend, rolling that top shoulder back. Inhale back up to center. And exhale, release down. Bring palms of the hands to heart center and we'll prepare for our tree pose. So this is working on opening up that right hip. If you need something for balance at home, you can grab a wall or a chair. We'll stabilize into our left leg and then pick up your right leg. Maybe just keep your big toe on the floor for now and just see how far you can open this knee out by contracting the muscle of the glute and not moving your hips to the side. Then when you have this range of motion for you, you can pick the foot up off the floor, bring it to the ankle, maybe to the inner portion of your lower leg. Try not to press here on your knee. You can also bring it up to the inner thigh. We'll just hold that tree. And once you've balanced, the arms are your choice. We can reach the fingertips up, open out to get a nice chest expansion. Or you can move your tree by moving the branches to challenge your balance just a little bit more. But my focus today on this pose is opening the hip. So all of the rest of it is just an accessory. Focus here on opening the hip to your maximum place. Let's take one more breath. And then bring that knee back to the center and relax. Now, oftentimes it's the standing foot that wants to give up the ghost or the standing hip sooner. So we're going to keep switching sides so that we don't have too much intensity into that standing leg. So let's ground into the right foot, pick up the left knee, and then just open, open, open. And I can tell this one doesn't go out as far for me. So I'm going to hold where I can feel the stretch and then slide the foot up to balance. And keep some intensity in this muscle in that left glute so you can keep pulling the knee open and keep those frontal hip bones facing straight ahead. And then challenge yourself wherever you'd like with your arms. Find your drishti, the focal point where you're looking upon something to help you with balance. Zip up your bandhas so we tighten up the pelvic floor and the abdominals to help us brace. Just a couple more breaths here. And bring that knee back to the center and relax it down. Good. You can shake out those hips a little bit. Now, just as we did when we were laying on our back, we're going to do some circular motions with the hips. So standing on the left leg, hands can be at heart center or wherever you like to balance. We'll pick that leg up and circle around. Now, your challenge is to not touch the floor unless you need to. You can go around and then touch again and get your balance. And we're trying to open the leg out as far as we can, but keep your pelvis really still. Ooh. Okay, let's reverse that circle going the other direction. Open, come around, balancing. If you're home and you need a chair to hold on to, no worries. Just hold it just a little bit so you're really focusing on balance. One more this way. And relax. We'll switch sides so we don't over-challenge that standing leg. Brace, lift up nice and tall, and circle around. And notice the muscles that you're having to use to do this circling action. And when we tense those muscles, the opposing ones on the other side of the joint will relax. So we can release any tension right here through the hip flexor as we tighten the glute. Let's reverse, going the other direction. Nicely done. Maybe 3 more coming around. Breathe in 2. And 1, and rest. So we are going to take our stretch out to the side with our yoga strap or with a bent knee. So your choices here as we stand on the left leg is to pick up this right knee and to hold onto that knee and just open it out to the side, because this is the focus of the stretch right through that inner thigh. You can also use your yoga strap or just straighten your leg and take the leg out to the side. So with that strap, place it under the bottom of the foot, reach it up, and open it to the side. Some of you might be able to grab the big toe with your peace fingers and reach the big toe. So wherever you are with this stretch today, you can even go back to tree pose. Let's hold here a couple more breaths. Nicely done. And release that side. Ooh, what kind of a bird was that? It was a squirrel? Oh yeah, that's a squirrel chattering. It was my squirrel bird call. Okay, let's do the other side. So ground onto that right leg. Your choices are we can lift that left knee up and hold it out. We can straighten that leg and hold it out. We can use our yoga strap. Just getting the yoga strap there is a balance challenge. And hold it out. Or we can reach for the big toe, those of you who are pretty flexible with this. Now it's about opening up the hips, so try to keep both hip bones forward. Try not to twist through the pelvis. If you lose it, just slowly come back in. Let's hold a couple more breaths. Excellent. And release it down. Okay. If you have a yoga block with you, you might use it as we're coming into some other hip openers here. You can have it close to the right side of your mat. And then we'll step the feet really wide and come into Warrior Two, bending this right knee, opening up both hips. And then I just want you to notice where your knee is in space and try to align it over the heel of your foot. Oftentimes the knee wants to drift forward for a couple of reasons. Either our glute is weak and we can't tighten enough to pull it out, or our hips are tight here. We'll extend through the fingertips. Now, in a perfect world, we would have our pelvis directly faced forward, but we're not all that flexible to get that to happen. So I want you to face your pelvis at whatever angle works for you to keep your knee in that alignment. Lengthen out and hold and breathe. And then keeping that position in our Warrior Two, let's come down to side angle pose. The fingertips can reach up, extended side angle. We can reach those fingertips towards the ear. And you can also sink a little bit lower if you have that flexibility by bringing that block down, reaching down towards the floor. Now, what's important is that you don't bend over forward in order to do that. So keep pulling that top shoulder back, just like we did in that side body stretch earlier in class. Keep rolling that shoulder back. Let's take 2 more breaths here. One more. And then use the strength of your sideways to pull yourself back up to Warrior Two. And we'll straighten out the front leg for triangle. So again, this is an open hip pose. We want to bring the pelvis to the center, reach the body out. And our triangle is just like side angle without bending the front knee. So we have the leg straight. So a modification, if triangle isn't working for you, go ahead and bend that front knee and come back into side angle pose. Keep pulling that top shoulder back. And 2 more breaths here in triangle. And then before we come up, bend your knee a little bit again. Use the strength of your sideways. Pull yourself up. Come into a reverse warrior. So the front knee is bent. Keep activating that front glute to pull that knee right in alignment with the heel. And then either remaining with the front knee bent, or we can do our reverse triangle by straightening the front leg and keep reaching back, a nice side bend. Abdominals are engaged. 2 more breaths. And then we'll rebend that front knee. Come back to our Warrior Two. Gaze over the fingertips. Keep pulling that knee in alignment with the heel. And then relax the arms down. So we did this last week. We are going to try to keep our Warrior Two position as we do a forward fold. So a couple of ways we can do it. We can do a humble warrior by bringing our arms behind our back and dropping down, bringing the head down towards the earth. If you'd rather use your block for support, then bring it down in front of you, bring your hands to that block, and hold here, or even fingertips can come down to the mat. And notice, are you still in your Warrior Two stance from the feet up through the pelvis? So keep placing that knee back in alignment with the heel. 2 more breaths. One more breath. And then use the strength of your back core and pull yourself up. So last pose is we'll straighten out both legs and come into a forward bend. So the right foot is turned out, the left foot is facing the side of your mat. You can bring your hands behind your back if you'd like and fold forward. Much different stretch here. So that right hamstring is really stretching. Hands can be supported on a block or even a chair here. Two more breaths. And one more breath. Before you come up, slightly soften and bend into that right knee and press yourself up. Finish with one final warrior two. Then relax your arms down. We'll pivot the feet so the right foot turns in, the left foot turns out. Adjust your stride accordingly and take your time to get into warrior two on this side. Most important is that this knee is aligned over the heel, and get this stretch here through the hip, and then bring your pelvis to whatever position you can accommodate that. So the left glute is tightening and squeezing to keep pulling this knee back. Shoulders are down. Then sink into your side angle pose, bringing that elbow or forearm to the thigh. The arm can reach up or extend it to really open up through the lats. And then roll that top shoulder back. And you can use your props to sink a little bit lower here. If you have your block, you'd like to come down to the block or even to the mat. And check one more time to make sure that left knee is in the right position over the heel and ankle. One more breath. And pull yourself up to your warrior two. Really feel the work in the legs. We'll straighten out the left leg for triangle. Reach out long and then side bend just as you did for side angle pose with your triangle. You can also extend the arm closer to the ear for a bigger stretch and keep rolling your top shoulder back. That fires the posterior oblique muscles and strengthens the back and also keeps our body in correct alignment. One more breath in triangle. And before you rise, bend that standing knee a little bit, that front leg, rise back up to warrior two, and then flip the front palm up and come into reverse warrior. Check one more time to make sure the knee is in proper alignment. And you can keep that knee bent or straighten the leg and really reach back for reverse triangle pose. Abdominals are bracing. Two more breaths. Sink into that front knee, coming back to warrior two. And holding this pose from the waist down, we'll come into a forward bend. So perhaps lacing the hands behind you for humble warrior. Fold forward, dropping the head down. Or use your block or the floor to help you stabilize and help to hold yourself up. Notice where you're feeling the stretches and the work. I'm feeling a little bit of a stretch in the lower back. If you feel any tension there or pain, come back up a little bit. One more breath. Then press through that foot and rise up. Hands can either come to your hips or you can extend back out into your warrior two. And then we'll straighten out that front leg and prepare to fold again. Hands can come behind the back. Brace through your core, stabilize into your feet, and take that forward any amount. Much different stretch here as we come down the back of that left leg into the hamstring. Holding and breathing nice and steady. One more breath. And then before you rise, start to soften that knee. Press yourself up. One final warrior two. Take your gaze over the fingertips. Pull that knee in alignment towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And then relax the arms down. Pivot the left foot back in. We'll take one wide leg forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale and swan dive down towards the floor. And relax and hold. We'll be here for about 60 seconds. So with the arms, you can reach them way out like they're in a downward facing dog, opening up through the armpits and through the lats. You can grab your ankles next to you or even reach through your legs and pull yourself down deeper towards the earth. Hands can be on a block. If hamstrings are tight, maybe you're up a little higher with hands on a chair as well, coming into a comfortable place. Two more breaths. And then as we start to come out of this pose, walk your hands towards the foot that's going to be the top of your mat. Pivot and come into a low lunge, and then step back to your downward facing dog. This is where we began our standing sequence, so take a little bit of time to pedal out your feet one more time. And notice the difference in your body after moving through those poses and opening up the hips. And then we'll come into a wide-kneed child's pose. So you can bring your big toes almost to touch as you open your knees out and sink back down into that wide-kneed child's pose. A little subtle hip opener here, but a nice one as well. If the forehead doesn't meet the mat, you can come to a block or stack your fists or your hands. Now, as you rise up, if you need any padding for your knees, now's the time to get that right in front of you, or to make a little fold in your mat, as we'll have a few poses that are done here from our knees. And our sticky mats, as we know, are sometimes a little bit thin for knees. So as we come on to that padding, we'll take a step forward with the right foot towards the upper corner of our mat and turn your toe out at an angle. We'll bring both hands towards the inside of our legs, and then placing your right hand on the inside of that knee, roll to the outside edge of your foot and press that knee open. Now, as we press it open, we can twist our spine, rotate, rolling that top shoulder back, gazing towards the ceiling. You can also come down onto your block, or your elbow can come down to the mat to deepen this stretch. And you're letting your left frontal hip lower and lower towards the earth, really sink into that left hip flexor as we open up through the right glute and the right inner thigh. Two more breaths in this stretch. And one more. And then we'll come back to center, press up through the hands, step that right foot back to meet the left. Take one brief child's pose. And then as you come up, step the left foot forward up to that upper corner of your mat. Turn your foot out on an angle and press your knee away from you with your left hand. And you're rolling out to the outside edge of that foot. I have my foot flexed, my toes pulled up, and rotate your spine. Look way up towards the sky over that left shoulder. And we can deepen that pose by bringing that right hand down onto a block or to the floor. A lot of different stretches going on here. So just notice where you are the tightest in this pose. Maybe that's the right hip flexor in the front of your hip or the left glute. And we'll take 2 more breaths. Maybe increase that twist, increase the rotation. 1 more breath. And then coming back to center, press into the hands. Step that front foot back to both knees and take a brief child's pose. Then we'll draw up to hands and knees. Inhale, send the right leg back behind you. Slightly extend your back so your belly's dropping down. And exhale and round your back, bringing your knee in towards your nose. The back curves up like a cat. We'll inhale, send the leg back. Exhale and pull it in. 1 more time, reach back. And draw in. Now, as you extend the leg back, bend your elbows slightly and push away, and then curve your back and draw your knee in. So the leg goes back, the elbows bend, push away, and draw in. Now, if you'd rather leave that option out, just keep those arms straight. We're working on strength of the triceps and shoulders. 2 more. And 1 more. Then lengthen that leg back, hold. Pick the left hand up off the floor and hold spinal balance. 3 breaths. Really level your hips off. Try not to let that right hip rise. 1 more breath. Left hand comes down, right knee comes down. Press back to child's pose. And coming back forward onto the hands and knees. Send your left leg straight back. Inhale, let your belly slightly drop. Gaze forward. Exhale, pull the knee in towards the chest. Curve your spine, round the back. So we are working on spinal mobility here, from a back extension to flexion of the spine, and using the core muscles to activate. Now adding strengthening of the arms as the leg goes back. Bend your elbows, and your elbows are staying close together, not opening out. Press it back, bend those elbows. Maybe you can come clear down to your chin and your chest. Just explore the range of motion that works for you. So this is a modification or progression for chaturanga, building strength in those triceps, in the shoulders. 2 more. Last one. And reach that left leg back. Right hand picks up off the mat. Spinal balance or bird dog. The thumb side or the radial side is up towards the ceiling on that wrist. Scoop the abs in, 2 more breaths. And the right hand comes down, the left knee, and we come back into our child's pose. And then come back to all fours. We'll come into cow pose, so let the belly drop, the gaze come forward, and then curve up to cat. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, curve up. One more time. Now you can continue through this progression, or as before, as you inhale and gaze forward, bend your elbows down towards the floor with your chest, press back up, then round your back up into cat, or even push back to child's pose. So we come forward, the belly drops slightly, option to bend your elbows, push up, cat or child's pose. And again, the elbows go straight back towards your knees rather than flaring out to the side. We'll do 2 more. If you have shoulder issues, you might just make it a small little bend in the elbows. And 1 more. And press back to your child's pose. Then we'll come into a modification of downward facing dog. This is known as Dolphin Pose. So setting your elbows down on the mat, shoulders width apart, interlace your fingers, tuck your toes, and let your hips lift up towards the ceiling. And press those heels down nicely. And you're trying to push away from the ground so you're not slumping into the shoulders and allowing your head to touch the floor, but keep pressing away, pressing away. Begin to inch your feet a little closer toward you so that your hips come up a little higher. And then this is a nice preparation for a forearm stand or a shoulder stand. We can allow one leg to lift up, up, up. If you're home, you can crawl that foot up a wall and then lower it down. And then lift the other leg up. Nice and strong through your shoulders and your triceps. And lower down. Let your knees drop to the mat and relax in child's pose. And then one last pose here from the forearms is our kneeling plank or plank from the toes. So again, we can clasp the hands, walk your knees back behind you or your toes tucked under, and come into a perfect plank, nice and straight. So knees down is still a lot of work. Keep the belly pulled in and up. If you're from the toes, really tighten your thighs. Those legs strong and straight. Our goal is to hold here about 60 seconds. We're about halfway through. If you need to take a break, take it. Check the position of your head. Make sure it's not dropping down or looking forward. It's really steady and straight. Just a few more breaths. Last 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The knees drop. And we press back to one more child's pose. Then we'll adjust ourselves to a seated position. If you need cushion for your tailbone, you can use your blanket or fold your yoga mat. And come to seated with the knees bent, the feet straight out in front of you. We'll work on Navasana, which is boat pose, which strengthens the core, works on balance also. So our first position here, just reach the arms forward and lean your body back until you feel your core firing and you feel your body's center of gravity tipping back, so your feet want to lift up off the mat. And we'll lift the right foot and then the left and hold. Now you can always keep one foot on the mat as well and take a couple of breaths with one foot up, a couple with the other. You can also hold behind your thighs to assist yourself with this pose. And then we'll rotate to one side slowly and back to center. And the other side and center. One more each direction. Both feet can come down, especially if you're feeling any stress or strain in your lower back. And coming center, hold 3 breaths wherever you are today. Maybe the arms lift or the legs straighten a little more. And then as you release the feet down, allow the knees to open into our Barakonasana once more. And fold through the center, stretch your lower back. So this was the main focus of our class today. So I'd like to focus a little bit more on opening up this area of the hip now that everything's nice and heated up in the muscle. So as you come up, we'll leave that right knee bent as it is and extend the left leg out. Now this foot can pull in a little closer to the groin if you'd like. We'll take a big breath in and then fold straight forward over the bent side. And see how low you can sink that knee towards the floor on the right leg. One more breath. And then pressing yourself up. You have the opportunity to do it that way one more time, or take this bent leg and bring it back behind you into a hurdler position. Now be very careful of your knee here that you don't feel a twist, and then lower yourself through the center in your hurdle stretch. And if that's not feeling good, bring that foot back around to the front. And one more breath. Then press yourself up and adjust sides. So this right leg will spin back around. Left foot comes in, right leg extends straight. And then our hips are facing towards the foot as we lower ourselves down in the middle and press that left knee down toward the earth. And again, your block is a nice tool to use here if you need to support your hands on the block, or even your forehead if you're pretty flexible coming over that leg. One more breath. And pressing up, you can choose to come down into that same stretch once more, or swing this leg out into a hurdle stretch, and then fold yourself forward. I can definitely feel again, this is that tight hip side. So make sure you're not forcing through a range of motion that's uncomfortable for you. And 2 more breaths. And press yourself up. Swing that leg back around. Now, 2 choices again, depending on how you feel. You can come back into Barakonasana, or you can choose to do frog pose. So with frog, it's really nice to have a little bit of extra padding for the knees. You can come up onto your knees like you're going to do wide leg child's pose and walk your knees out, 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 separating. And then bring your elbows or forearms or forehead down towards your mat or towards your block. And just allow those knees to sink open. Both are great stretches here, whatever works best for you today. Just a few more breaths. See if you can deepen. Last inhalation. Exhaling completely. If you're in your frog, press yourself up, returning to a seated position. Very carefully walk those knees together. And we'll all come to a simple cross-leg pose to close our practice today. Sitting tall, eyes closed, come inside to celebrate the beauty of this day and this opportunity to practice together. We'll take a breath in, sweep the arms out and up. As you press the palms together, draw your thumbs towards your forehead, pausing there for positive thoughts for our day, to those that surround our lives. And bring the thumbs to our lips for positive words to those who surround our lives. And bring the thumbs to our heart for positive actions of love, peace, and joy to those who surround our lives. And that love, peace, and joy that resides within me honors the love, peace, and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Those of you that are here, take a jump in the pool, and then I'm going to shut off my recording. Hey, Marissa, come on in, and then I'll come inside and say hi to those of you that are online with me today. Great job, everyone.